Hello everyone, welcome to this week's YouTube stream. I'm Jonas and happy to be with you again. I hope everyone's having a great day or evening or morning wherever you are around the world. Welcome and happy to be with you this evening. Well, I've got a pretty packed out agenda for this evening. I'm a little bit concerned that I'm going to screw something up because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of information to share, a lot of details. And also, we once again have a feature presentation. So strap up, everyone, and have a great time together this evening. Allow me to use this evening since I'm coming to you from Asia, where it's evening. Have a great time together with us here at MetFi, MetFiers. And thanks to the team, Mr. MetFi himself will be monitoring the comments that pop up and answering your questions. So feel free to put into the chat anything that you have, anything that you need information on. We're here to communicate with you. Well, tonight we have, as I mentioned, a feature presentation, information that's beneficial to all of you MetFiers, I hope. I believe it should be beneficial because it relates to principles of investment that are kind of, well, I didn't come up with them. Let's just put it that way. They're not my idea. These are sort of time-tested and widely accepted investment principles, which, of course, is not meant to constitute any kind of investment advice for anyone, but just information to help you in your consideration and decisions, and, of course, your own research, which absolutely is very important. Tonight, we're going to do 2 lucky draws for our lucky MetFi winners getting VIP Platinum passes to the Ocean Summit in Dubai in November. So this evening or this afternoon, depending on where you are, you will find out what ticket numbers will be getting those free Ocean Summit VIP Platinum tickets, folks. So if people are not here yet, if you got community members or friends or whatever who might want to know if they bought a MetaQuiz ticket and maybe they didn't win the jackpot in the MetaQuiz, but perhaps they will be the lucky one tonight winning a free VIP Platinum ticket to the Ocean Summit. We also have some updates, different things. I have a bit of gossip to share with you. Of course, you didn't hear it from me. It's, a little birdie might have told me something that you might want to know about here as well. But before we get into all of that, do invite people in. These are things that are going to be happening this evening. But we're going to go ahead and jump into our feature presentation, which is about dollar cost averaging. So this is a series of posts that I'm putting together, which I'm calling The Way of Whales, just because I think it's kind of cool. And it sort of connects a little bit to MetFi's motifs, the ocean underwater vibe that we use here at MetFi. And so this is one of those. It's called dollar cost averaging. So it's a brief, simplified, and quick look at what dollar cost averaging or DCA is. We're not going to go in depth. We're not going to give all kinds of analysis about the markets because that's beyond my pay grade, as they say. But most importantly, it's beyond my capacity. I'm not an investment sort of advisor or any such thing. And this is not at all, as I said, investment advice. This is simply information to whet your appetite to go and do your own research. So let's get underway. What is dollar cost averaging? It's investing in an asset. It could be anything. It could be oil. It could be gold. It could be currency, even real estate or whatever. It's investing in that asset. Instead of doing it in a lump sum, it's in regular installments. So you split that money up, your investment funds, your investment budget, you split it up into regular installments instead of a lump sum. So many fund managers and career investors do use dollar cost averaging as part of their strategy when they invest. And the reasoning is that it helps to reduce risk from market swings and allows you actually to leverage off of asset price fluctuations. The principle is pretty simple. If the asset is expensive, if it's a bull market, high asset prices, well then your dollars, the cash you spend on it or whatever asset you use to trade for that, well you can buy less of course because it's at a high price point. But if that asset has a low price point, well then your dollars will purchase more. So this averaging effect helps to balance out the market swings that happen. So if you're investing in commodities, today they're really high from some sort of information that came up in the financial markets. Tomorrow they're quite low. What you invested today, then tomorrow kind of drops in value and your heart goes in your throat and you feel stressed. Well, if instead of that you just have a regular amount, it could be a weekly amount, a monthly amount, a quarterly, whatever it is, whatever sort of scheme you want to set up. Typically people do it on a monthly sort of cycle, right? Well, then on day one, when the asset is high priced, you don't get as much. You spend your dollars for that, and then when it drops, well, you buy the same amount of dollar value in that asset. Well, that will buy more of the asset. Next day, it could drop, it could go up, whatever could happen, because the fluctuation of the markets are out of literally anyone's control, right? So the principle is that in the short term, there may be some loss, but hopefully in the long term, you get to gain. And it's built on the principle, which is, studied decades into the past, that over time, markets will tend to rise. If they're solid assets, if they're good quality things you're investing in, they will over time rise. Like gold is a great example. You've seen really high prices this year. In previous years, it's really dropped. But ultimately, over time, if you look at the past 20, 30 years, well, the average price of gold has really increased. So if someone was smart enough, and that person wasn't me, that person was smart enough to have invested a monthly amount of money into gold for the past 20 years, well, the average cost would have sort of averaged itself out, leveled out, and that person would have made a nice, pretty profit on that investment. If instead they bought it high and then it dropped and they're like sort of go into panic mode and they sell it off, well, they would have lost money on that investment. So, looking at this concept of DCA or dollar cost averaging is it's something that's often done with cryptocurrency investment, and that's because obviously crypto is an asset area that does tend to have quite big swings. You've seen it. Anyone who's been in crypto, who's traded crypto, you know that you have to have nerves of steel because there's a lot of swings that happen, and that doesn't mean that it's a bad investment. It just means that it's an investment you have to be very careful about. You can't put money that you're not willing to lose into cryptocurrency because it might, drop pretty badly. But then if for those who have sort of had confidence in BTC or Bitcoin or Ethereum as a solid asset, a store of value, and they've stuck to their program of investment over time, it's tended to bring them a handsome profit. And this is a really great example because you all, if you've been in crypto, know that BTC or Bitcoin had an all-time high of over $68,000 per Bitcoin in November of 2021 during the middle of COVID. And at the time, I'm sure you saw news items and analysts talking about, yeah, now this is the big one. It's going to hit 100K by the end of the year. It didn't hit 100K by the end of the year. In fact, that was the peak for that time. And after that, it steadily decreased. So, assuming you got excited, as many people did, or whoever got excited, as many people did, at that time when in November 2021, when it's really flying high, and they just put a lot of money into it. Let's say they put $1,300 into Bitcoin at that point. Well, by 1 year later, 13 months later, if they did it in every single month plus the next November, well, that amount of money, $1,300, would have been worth about $377 by November 2022. So that's a pretty big swing, right? It's a stressful thing. Now, anyone who's been in crypto for a little while wasn't too stressed about that. They probably hodled, they held on to it, and now it's starting to swing nicely, but it's still not anywhere near that all-time high. So, if you bought 1,300 in a one single investment lump sum right then when everyone was excited, then by November 2022, it would have dropped considerably. But what if you had instead split that 1,300 up into monthly $100 investments? Well, this is what would have happened. You would have had, at the end of that period, $778. Now, okay, that's a loss, but it's a much smaller loss than it was for those who invested all of the amount when it was at its all-time high. So, because that's an averaging thing, splitting the same amount of money in the same period of time, the exposure was reduced, the impact was reduced. So, yeah, it still lost some money, but it sure feels better to have lost 40% as opposed to 70%, right? Well, how about this? What if you stuck to it all the way till last month, till June? And of course, that wouldn't have been 1,300 in total anymore. That would have been a period of 20 months. What if you just kept at it with 20 months worth of $100 investments in that same period, a $2,000 investment in total? Well, you would have actually gained $333 on your $2,000 investment. And in investment terms, that's not too bad. That's not too shabby, especially not in a bear market. In that same period, BTC fell 46%, right? From the all-time high of 68 plus K, to last month when it reached a high for this year, which was over 30K. Well, it's still more than half of the price, right? So here you can see the breakdown of that and the graph of the price over time. So in the very, very beginning, if you had put $2,000 into Bitcoin in November 2021, well, yeah, at that point, that would have been the value, as you can see on the graph here. However, it would have dropped pretty drastically a year later. And then once it started climbing up again, because the average price you bought it at was higher. The average price was 26,000 something, and the selling price is 30-something thousand. Well, you've actually made a gain on your investment. And that's the principle of DCA, dollar cost averaging. It helps you to mitigate your risk, and it helps you over time, because of that averaging effect, to actually start looking at being in the positive space, potentially. Again, there's no promises, of course, but at least it reduces your exposure. So, what this is, the whole concept of DCA is, it's an example of diversified investment strategy. And the most successful financial experts, well, they don't just sit around hoping, making bets and relying on their luck. They say that sometimes they go by instinct and gut feeling and all that, but they certainly don't only go by that, and they don't gamble their money away. They try to diversify in order to offset the losses that happen in the markets. And there's unforeseen factors, and there's uncontrollable conditions. Nobody knows when there's going to be some sort of conflict that affects oil prices or other commodities, or what's going to happen with inflation. Nobody knows these things in advance. Maybe some people do, but it's a very small group of people. The rest of us don't. And when we have diversification in investment, which involves more than just DCA, of course, but it's an example of it, then you can weather those storms. And I think all of us at MetFi, all the MetFiers, can be really happy and proud that, in fact, this is one of the unique selling points about MetFi itself, and that is the fact that it's not putting all of the apples in one basket. It's not putting all of the investment in one thing, right? It's not betting only on a certain crypto asset or betting everything on a certain even industry or company or anything like that. It's diversified. Okay, so there's some gaming ones, there's some protocol type things, there's all of these different projects that are involved and connecting with the MetFi DAO community, which then, yeah, not all of those are going to be unicorns. Not all of them are going to be big winners. Maybe there's going to be 10 investments and one of those is a unicorn or almost a unicorn. Maybe there'll be 30 investments and one is a unicorn, but that's a pretty sweet deal. And presumably, even if they all don't become unicorns, well, there's still gains and there's a little bit of loss, but if they're solid, smart investments, good use cases, good things to be involved in the right trend, at the right time, as we've always emphasized, well, the potential is there. So let's look at a hypothetical situation with MetFi, assuming we were going to apply DCA to MetFi. Now, again, please don't get bothered with me sounding like a broken record, but it's very, very essential to understand that I'm stating without any reservation that please, this is not some kind of an invitation or advice towards investment. It's just some modeling. It's just some practical sort of scenarios, hypothetical scenarios, in order for you to have some ideas on how you might proceed or consider what you want to do in your personal investment space. Now, again, it depends person to person. You don't put your life savings into a single investment of any kind. You should not, as we said, invest what you're not willing to lose, right? However, assuming, you wanted to look at just 600 USDT in MetFi, right? And you had the choice. Okay, so I've got this 600 USDT. It's expendable. I can afford it. I can use that. I really believe in the fundamentals of MetFi. I believe in the potential. I believe in the future. I believe in the sort of structure that's put in place here to try to offset risk on behalf of everyone. Well, you've got that amount. You can just put it all in, or you can spread it out into 100 USDT over a 6-month period, which would be dollar cost averaging. And here, allow me to say that it's not about dollars. It's just the terminology that's used because usually we tend to refer to assets based upon their dollar value. That's still the norm in today's world. If, some of us are probably not big fans of the US dollar, that's not really the point. It's not an underhanded sort of promotion of US dollars. It's just, it's a handle, It's a framework to go by so that we have something to go by that's standardized and that's global, right? So, option one, put in the 600 USDT, not 600K, unless you have it. That wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea. You can hodl that, you can hold on long term, or you could think, okay, no, I'm going to split this up and I'm going to apply dollar cost averaging and I'm going to do 100 USDT monthly for the next 6 months. I can afford that. I've already sort of considered this and analyzed this. Well, here's the situation of what would happen. Assuming, again, this is a total hypothetical scenario, but let's assume that it starts at a price of 4 USDT to 1 MetFi, right? And then after that, it drops a bit, and then it drops a bit, and it goes up a little bit, and then it really drops down to as low as 1.5, right? Well, your 600 USDT investment at that point would be worth 415. So you would have lost, no, it wouldn't. That 600 would at that point be worth only 225. And then, assuming that it goes back up again, but not quite up to the price that you bought it at, well, you would still be at a bit of a loss if you had invested the full amount and the price didn't go back to the level it was at the point you made the investment. But with dollar cost averaging, instead, you would have actually gained a pretty nice profit on those swings. So here you can see it in numbers. Now, again, this is totally hypothetical. Just It's totally hypothetical. I just kind of pulled numbers out of a hat for the purpose of example, right? So you can see the rate on the left-hand side here, $4 for USDT, 3.5, 2, 2.5, 1.5, and then back up to 3. So it's still down from its all-time high of 4 to 3, right? However, with DCA strategy, you would at the end have 730 in DCA value, right? So the way it works is in the first month, your MetFi value is the $100 that you invested, right? And you still have the other 500 in USDT. By the second month, you've put another 100 in, but at that point, your first 100 went down in value a bit. So then you're a little bit at a loss at that point in the second month, and it keeps that trend going on. However, by the last month, if it's made a recovery, you've actually got a profit. And of course, 6 months is kind of a short time frame for a proper DCA strategy. We saw that in the actual numbers. Those are not numbers I came up with or calculated on my own. They're from a website that you can all go. You can see on the slide back there that these are the actual figures, where over 20 months there was an actual gain, and that risk was reduced. Now, what if at the end of this whole period of time the markets really go into the bull run, as many people are predicting may happen now, or we may be heading out of the crypto winter into the bull region again? Well, if that's the case, and it ends up that it comes to 4.5. It was 4 to start with when the initial investment happened. It went down quite a bit, and then it goes up at the end to 4.5. Well, the person who did that full 600 USDT investment would then have made a pretty nice gain at the end. However, the person using the DCA strategy would have made a larger gain in that same period. So this is just, again, a little bit of modeling for your interest, to whet your appetite and think about, it could be MetFi, it could be other assets that you're looking at. Do you want to be sort of exploring this DCA strategy concept? Because when you really break it down and you look at those graphs, you look at those numbers, it does look pretty attractive, hypothetically. And again, as we saw in the first example, this is not a sure win. You may still lose on your investment even when you're doing DCA, as in the case of from the all-time high of Bitcoin to 1 year later or 13 months later, there was a loss, but the loss was reduced. Okay, so that's what we had as far as the presentation, the feature presentation as we call it for this week. I hope that wasn't too sort of technical or dry. I'm trying to make it not dry so that it seems kind of a little bit fun, even though we're talking about numbers, and some people might downright hate math. Some people love math, some people hate it. However, math is a reality of life that we have to accept and we have to work with in order to make the most use of certain fundamentals in the economic sphere, right? Okay, and so now we're going to go ahead and go on to other announcements and news updates. Let me check out how we're doing in our stream. All right, we've got some really cool comments here about staking. Would it be possible to incorporate? I got some people interested here. Who knows? This could be exciting. Well, again, the whole idea here is to whet your appetite, to give you some food for thought, and to be looking at this as a principle. I will come before you and say that myself personally, I have been a bit too late to the game of DCA. I should have done that a little bit earlier. I should have done it 20 years ago. But it's never too late to do the right thing, right? It's never too late to do the right thing. So if you start doing it at whatever point you do it, well, hey, it might bring you some positive returns on what's happening in your life, in the financial landscape of your personal situation, and I have been looking at this personally. I'm not going to go into any details about that because that's personal, and it's also not maybe appropriate in this setting because I'm not trying to add any weight to what we're saying here. I'm just saying, hey, these are things that the greats, the big people have done, you know, to great effect, and they've really brought some positive returns to their organizations. And so we can apply those time-tested ideas and, you know, maybe benefit. Maybe we'll get lucky, or we can reduce our risk. Or we can reduce our risk. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go back to our updates. Ta-da-da. As again, we mentioned last week, and I'm going to reiterate to you here, the goal is for these to be completed by late July, early August. The split reward scheme already put into the system where you can get paid 20% of your rewards in unstaked MetFi. So that is now standardized, and it's being implemented by the developers as we speak, right? Everyone seemed to really, really support and be very happy with that idea, which is super awesome and cool. So good going there. And 1 second. I'm going to turn off my camera so that you can see everything. So this means more MetFi purchases on PancakeSwap and trading volume. Even if people, you know, swap them right back to USDT as soon as they get them, they're unstaked, they're completely swappable. So as soon as you get them, you can swap them right back. It will be two transactions, which is great for trading volume. And the next thing that also is really, really being pushed forward quickly is the 10 USDT Plankton NFT, encouraging mass adoption and easy gifting, right? Because it's a heck of a lot easier to gift someone a 10 USDT NFT than something more expensive. You know, for what you were previously able to gift a minimum of 100 USD, well, now you could gift an NFT to 10 people with the same investment, right? And as I said, tonight we're going to do the lucky draw for the free Platinum VIP pass to the Ocean Summit. And it happens each week. We're going to do it for 2 weeks this week, folks. Last week we weren't able to do it yet. We didn't have that in place. Well, now we do. And so we're going to do the draw live in this event. Powered by MetFi. Okay, so if you've been following the announcements in Discord and the announcement channel in Telegram, you do know about this. I'm going to quickly go over it here and emphasize these points in case you missed that, because these are really, really exciting developments for all of you MetFiers. So the applications or the products or applications that MetFi develops are going to be powered by MetFi applications. They're targeted to benefit all of the MetFi community within the DAO, but also to the mass market. And they're designed for mass market adoption so that people can easily get accustomed to MetFi, easily on-ramp to MetFi in a non-exposed way, in a way that they get their feet wet and they get involved without having to be exposed. And every one of these project launches or products or applications will be launched in alpha and beta phases. So in other words, you have the first phase where it's a very viable product, it's a very functioning product, it definitely is able to function well, but it's not with full functionality or full features. Well, that gets it into the marketplace, it gets people using it, gets people trying it, gets feedback, it helps to iron out things and improve things, as we've already seen now a few times with MetaQuiz. You know, since its launch, MetaQuiz has already had a number of changes, and they're continuing, right? And that is the next subject here, MetaQuiz enhancements. Right. So the idea, and these are ideas and proposals, they are still being explored. So this is not a promise. Please don't take it as that you said it, I saw you in the live. You know, please don't see it as that. See it as potential things that are being explored that we can all get excited about and get behind. And I wouldn't be talking about it if there wasn't a pretty strong, good chance that these things are going to be able to happen, or some version of them. But they're still the idea stage, okay? AI. Using AI to create questions It kind of opens up infinite possibilities using the power of AI, which is very trendy. And quiz categories, for cat lovers or coffee lovers or, car lovers, or maybe you can do one that's branded, and that's the next one here, branding and partnerships. What if, like, a big mega brand decided, well, they wanted to be featured in the MetaQuiz draw, and they would, add some incentives. Who knows? The sky's the limit. This is just ideas that are being explored. And of course, the natural first phase for that would be our actual partnerships, big time. Evermoon, all these different people. Those are the ones that would naturally want to partner with us in MetaQuiz, to draw their community in with us, mix it with us, combine it, and so on and so forth. Preview text. Okay, so we already heard about this a bit more, that before the quiz actually goes into effect and you've got that 3 minutes to do the answers to your quiz, well, you're going to get a little bit of informational text that has the answer to the quiz question before you play. And that's going to be really making it a lot easier and really contributes to one of the core reasons for MetaQuiz, and that is actually educating the community. And AI also opens up the potential for multilingual MetaQuiz powered by AI. So again, these are ideas, they're potential proposals that we're looking at, but they are things that we can really start to anticipate to enhance this user experience. And upcoming vote proposals. So there's the 1 in 4 probability factor. I went into detail about this last week in our last live session, but basically, instead of having 90% of the prize pool all going to the first prize winner, well, if they add a probability factor where that 90% big prize pot has a 1 in 4 chance of being drawn, there's a reduced probability for it being drawn, well, then what happens is some weeks there won't be a first prize winner. But that money doesn't go away. It stays in the jackpot and it builds up the following week's prize pool. So the idea is that the big jackpot is going to grow as long as it doesn't get drawn, sort of like a Powerball concept. Right? And then there's also a vote proposal about the prize pool split. Some of the prize pool money sent to the coming week. Right? So when the idea there is, and again, this is a upcoming vote proposal, and you probably read about it, but just to explain, the idea is that all of the tickets that are bought this week, this hypothetical week, right? All of those ticket purchases will not necessarily all go to this week's prize pool. If there's a split, some of it will go to following weeks. That way, people are incentivized to play on an ongoing level. And it also grows the overall prize pool. And when that happens, then the incentive to buy a MetaQuiz ticket is increased as well. So this is something that we want everyone to consider in the vote proposals, because this could really add a lot of incentive and make it a lot more interesting to do MetaQuiz. And here's another proposal of 10% of MetaQuiz rewards. Now this is the affiliate side of it, right? So as it stands, let's say someone has a 10 MetaQuiz ticket purchase of 100 USDT, right? Well, 50% of that goes straight to the prize pool, and the other 50% currently gets paid out in member matrices, the relevant member matrices. In other words, if that person is a dolphin that made that purchase, then any 10 levels up, all the dolphins will get to split that amount of rewards money, right? I hope that's clear enough, but I think you guys are familiar enough with this that you kind of get the picture. Well, the idea is that instead of the full amount just split like that, 10 ways, there's the idea and the proposal now of 10% of the rewards, which is 5% of the total ticket price, to go to the personal referrer. In other words, that's that person's personal referrer. So the idea is to reward active MetFiers, those who are really staying active in the affiliate program. that's happening. They're not sitting back. They're engaging with their communities. They're encouraging, hey, did you see about MetaQuiz? You need to get behind this. Well, they'll get some direct incentive in doing that. So in the 100 USDT scenario, right? So 50 goes, right? And there's 50 left. Well, of that 50, 5 USDT would go to the personal refer, and the other 45 would be split into the relevant matrices, 10 levels up. Okay? And more news. This is also red hot off the press. Anyone who's older than 30 maybe doesn't know anything about a press because nobody reads the newspaper or magazines anymore. But hot off the press used to be a term for something really, really hot in the front page of the newspaper, which now would be hot in your timeline or whatever on your phone. So hot off the press is that now the lending platform is live again, and loans can now be repaid, or within the next couple of hours. And the whole thing that this was waiting upon, if you can go to the announcements and get all the details there, it was all based upon the fourth CertiK audit, right? So the fourth CertiK audit was completed, and now that lending platform is live again. And you really need to go and check that out. If there's any pending loans there, you want to go make sure that that's all functional and be in communication with the community team to make sure that that's all clear, but it's functioning again. And the next thing in line, based on the CertiK audit number 4, is the veto button. That's really coming up close now because the audit passed. And now you can select MetFi directly as one of your payout currencies. And again, here this is very attractive as far as the MetFi trading volume, because if you select getting paid in MetFi, then there will be a purchase order in PancakeSwap immediately in the same smart contract transaction. So the smart contract will immediately go and buy the MetFi from the open market through PancakeSwap's PancakeSwap's liquidity pool, which is a purchase and buying pressure, which is really great. So any of you who want to be really leveraging on your MetFi opportunity want to be considering getting some payouts in MetFi and helping to raise the value potentially on the market. At least it creates buying pressure, which is a great thing for MetFi and also the trading volume, as is the case prior to this. So do think about that. It's right there as a selected one. Before it used to be an other option and you had to put in the contract and all that stuff. Now it's right there in the selectable options that you can see listed here. This is a screenshot. You can either get it in USDT, MetFi BUSD, USDC. Those are, of course, the stable coins. BTC or WETH, BNB as well. So these are all the options for you to select. If you're more crypto minded, you want to make use of crypto, well, there you go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for this moment of truth. We shall select MetaQuiz winners of the free Platinum VIP ticket. Okay, so this is from MetaQuiz 4, when that was first implemented, and MetaQuiz 5, which is last week's MetaQuiz. So from MetaQuiz 4, there were 90 possible persons that will get this free Platinum VIP ticket. In MetaQuiz 5, it's one of 65 persons. So for this occasion, we are going to use an online resource. I promise you, cross my heart, there is absolutely no meddling going on here or monkey business. I am only doing this from an external place online where we will do this draw. Let me check out how we're doing in our chat real quickly, just to keep up with everyone's irritating anticipation about this. So, checking it out here, just to bug you a little bit, by raising the anticipation levels here. Okay, well, MetFi DAO is really actively responding to everything, so that makes my work much easier. I don't have to do any commenting because it's being managed so efficiently and so quickly and well by MetFi DAO. Thank you so much, MetFi, for your help with that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we shall move to the Ocean Summit ticket draw. And this is a website that you all can check out. It's called Random Result. It is not a MetFi platform or one that I ever actually saw before. It is totally legit and available online. And we are going to now select one of 90 ticket purchasers in MetaQuiz number 4. Drum roll, please. And the winner is ticket number 54. Ticket number 54, folks. That is the winning draw. Now, what everyone will have to do is you have to go and check out and work together with the community managers for this. But this is now recorded. We have proof of this here. It is in this call that ticket number 54 is the winner of one VIP Platinum ticket to the Ocean Summit in November in Dubai. Next number coming up. As we said, this is of 65. Of 65 numbers, so I'm going to change this probability to 65. And drum roll, please. 39. Wow, that if people who are sort of, the lottery type of people, they'll say that 39 is a cool number. It's like a lucky number. Or maybe not, it's so variable, this whole thing with lucky draws. But that is it, folks. 2 free VIP Platinum tickets given out to our community, to those who joined in MetaQuiz 4 and MetaQuiz 5. Congratulations to the winners. And that will be followed up with a proper announcement finding out who that is in terms of your actual NFT ID. All right. I'm going to award myself a sip of water. And we're going to keep going here. Remember, the early bird price has been extended to July 31st, 2023. The early bird price has been extended to July 31st, 2023. And we are now at July 11th, so that gives us about 3 weeks where you can make use of that early bird ticket. As you know, it's a big reduction, whether it's a silver, a gold, or a platinum. Those are options that are available to you now. Head on over to oceansummit.biz to get your purchases and to follow up where things are at with the leaderboard, because once you bought a ticket, then the leaderboard will be visible to you and you can see where things are at and in terms of the qualification and so on. Right? And that wraps it up for this evening. I'm going to go check out our call again in YouTube to see where we're at in comments. Stefan is very actively providing some additional points and help here. How do we know the ticket we bought for past week, says Matt? It will be followed up on. This is not the end of the story. It will be followed up on. You will be contacted to find out whether your ticket was the one that won for this week. And remember, this is a weekly event. From here on out, every single week, there's going to be a lucky draw for everyone that purchased a MetaQuiz ticket. You'll be in the pot for getting possibly a free Ocean Summit VIP Platinum ticket. And for now, if you want to know what your ticket number is, actually you can access that from the DApp, from your dashboard in the DApp, and you can just go to the meta quiz part, and then there's a menu item there that says My Meta Quiz. That's where you find out where it is. Well, thanks so much. I want to, on behalf of everyone in the community, as well as the hardworking developers, thank everyone who's keeping the faith, who's believing, who's moving forward, who's not allowing short-term things to trip you up. Remember, if one wants to stay in the safe zone, then one probably will get a job and work on a salary and try to make sure they don't mess up so that they can keep that solid security. But if you really want to go where the big rewards are, then you've got to be a bit more of a risk taker. You've got to be a mountain climber. You've got to go on the unbeaten path, and granted, this is kind of a lot of unbeaten path. There's a lot of new territory. This is a new area. However, we are in an area which we know, and if you haven't seen the previous AMAs that we did here on YouTube, if you haven't seen the one we talked about Metaverse and the one we talked about Web3, we're in industry areas that are in the growth sector, that are the mega trends of this era. The real experts out there truly believe that Web3 is where we're going, and so whatever is your comfort level and whatever time you can put in it, let's work together in making this a success. And as I mentioned, there's going to be a little bit of gossip tonight, so I'm going to wrap up tonight with some gossip. I don't know how I heard about this, some little birdie told me about it, that one more of the listed jobs that MetFi was seeking some applications for. So if you remember, there's guild managers, there's developers, 3D, there's all these different positions that MetFi was looking for people to fill. I was the one who filled one of the positions first, but there's more. As you know, those are still open positions that MetFi is actually actively looking for people to fill. Well, one more has already been filled. Another person has been accepted to work officially in an official capacity with MetFi. Rumor has it, I can't say for sure, but I believe, that's what the rumor says. And within a little while, in the next couple of weeks, there will be an announcement where we will unveil this new person working with MetFi on behalf of the whole MetFi DAO community. So that's the little rumor for this evening. Remember, Meta Quiz, keep pushing it forward. Look at those vote proposals. Remember to get your Ocean Summit tickets. Remember to keep inviting people. Remember to select the chosen asset that you want to have your rewards paid in. Remember to think about diversified investment strategies and whatever way they apply to you and your personal situation, how they can help you. And let's go forward together and make this a big success. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate all of you, and see you next time.